Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel, and I'm so happy that I get to share my story with you guys. This story takes place in 1988. I got pregnant at 16. I had a baby in 1986. I met my daughter's father, which was my best friend's brother, and we only had sex one time, and I became pregnant, and his mom gave me the money to have an abortion, and I didn't have the abortion. I decided to keep my daughter. He was very upset, and if you watch the last video, you'll find out what he did to me when he found out that I didn't have the abortion. So I stayed completely away from him. I didn't talk to him. I didn't have no communication. I basically crossed the street if I saw him. I stayed completely away from him. My best friend was murdered in 1987. My best friend was murdered. Her mother became closer to my daughter, which was her granddaughter. And she was constantly over my house or babysitting. She was there for me as my daughter was growing up. I would see my daughter's father here and there. He could not stand the ground I walked on. He hated my guts. In my first video, I told you guys his mother put him out. He was very upset about that, and she had moved. Well, somehow or another, he found out where she moved to, and after one, she allowed him to move in the house. She allowed him to move into the house. So it got to the point where I started feeling nervous with coming over to the house. So I told her that if she wanted to see my daughter, she would have to bring. I told her if she wanted to see my daughter, she would have to come over to my house and see my daughter. I no longer felt comfortable with coming to see her since her son lives back in the house. And she agreed. But then one day she told me, she says, you know, since you're going to school and you're working, why don't you let the baby live with me, and I will take care of her so that you can go ahead and finish school and do the things that you need to do. I told her I was not in agreement with that. I love my baby. I can't see myself just letting her live with someone else, and I'll try to come to your house, because I didn't want no conflict with her, because I loved her and I know she loved my baby. She told me that he's hardly never there. So if I call her, and she'll let me know if he's going to be at the house, and if he's at the house, then I won't come. Well, one particular day I had to go to work, and I told her that I'm not going to be able to come because I have to be at work at a certain time. They changed my schedule. She said, oh, don't worry, just bring me the baby. He's not here. Everything is fine. Well, when I got to the house and I rang the doorbell, I like to jumped out my skin. I don't know why, but he scared me. And he was like, what are you come to bring the baby to your mother? So he reached out his arms, and I was like, no, where's your mother at? So he slammed the door in my face, and his mother come to the door. She's opened up the door, and she says, oh, everything's okay, don't worry about him. So I handed her the baby, and I went to work. When I came back to pick up the baby, he was sitting on the porch, and he says, I want to talk to you. And I says, well, I have nothing to say to you. He says, well, that's my daughter too. I said, okay. He says, well, I want to keep her sometimes. And I said, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. He says, well, why not? You can't just decide that I can't see my daughter. I said, well, you didn't even want her. He says, well, it don't matter now. I want to keep her. I want to watch her. I want to spend time with her. I wasn't in agreement with that at all. And I said, well, no, you're not going to be able to keep my daughter. Only your mother. So the next time I seen his mom wanted a conversation with me, and she said to me, his mom said, come over to the house, we need to talk. So I goes over to the house to talk to his mom, and she tells me, well, we decided to file for custody so that we can take care of the baby and you could come see the baby on the weekend. I was thinking to myself, she must be out her mind. I said, no, why would you do that? She wants to see his baby, and you're not going to allow him to see the baby. I want to spend more time with my grandbaby, and I shouldn't have to wait till you bring her to me. I said, but I'm her mother. They said, it doesn't matter. You're young, and, you know, we have more income. We can take care of the baby. We're just going to take you to court. So I was so sad, and I was so depressed about that. I couldn't believe it. I goes to court on my court. I did get letters in the mail that they were taking me to court. And I went to go get me some legal aid help because I didn't have money to fight for a lawyer. I didn't want to lose my daughter. In court, well, the grandmama didn't show up. She didn't show up. I was thinking, wow, good thing. I was excited. I was ecstatic that she didn't show up. I'm trying to hurry up and tell y'all my story because you can see the sun going down out here, you guys. I was ecstatic. I was so freaking happy that she didn't show up. And then I get some phone call from Juanita's little brother telling me that his brother, which is my daughter's father, took some type of kerosene and poured it all over his mom, her legs. They got into a big argument. They got into a fight, and something happened. I don't know exactly what happened, but he set their house on fire. This man set their house on fire. He tried to kill his own mother. That was crazy. Oh my God. I could not believe it. She was burnt all the way up her legs. And then down the road, she moved, and she basically had nothing to do with him for a while. And I decided that I would just stay away from the family. Like, I didn't want anything else to do with her, him, the family. It was just too much tragedy going on, and what he did the last time really scared me. I just didn't even want to bump into him again. They took her to the hospital. And I said, oh my God, this man is crazy. So I had to go to the daycare to pick up my daughter, and I was running late getting her. I got home late, and I was saying, oh my God, you know, the next morning I was planning on going over to the hospital to see her. I was sleeping. I lived in a house that was 3 stories high. It was the first floor. One of my videos, if you watch this series, you know that I was emancipated at 14 years old. I was considered a legal adult. So I was living on my own, and I had an apartment that was really considered an attic. And the reason why the lady rented the place to me is because it was small and it was cheap, and that's all I can afford at the time. So I was really grateful to have the place. I lived in a really kind of quiet type neighborhood. Both the people on the first floor was the owner. She was really old. The people on the second floor were older people, and I was on the 3rd floor. I was sleeping, my baby girl was sleeping, and I heard like a thump. And I just kind of sat up, and I looked out the window. I didn't see anything. I got up and looked at my baby girl. She was sleeping, so I laid back down. Next thing you know, I heard the door just bash open, like boom. He came through the door. I was just in my underwears and a t-shirt, sitting up on my bed. I couldn't even barely move. I was just so shocked to see him even standing there, because the way that my apartment was made, it was an attic. So it was just like this, it was like this one room, but I had like this little tiny skinny stove, a sink, and a refrigerator in the same room, you know? And so when he kicked the door open, I was just right there, you know, me and my baby was in her crib. And the only thing I had in my little place was my daughter's crib, I had a twin bed, and the stove, the sink, the refrigerator, and a small table. That was it. I sat up. I couldn't even scream. I was just shocked that he was standing there. And he had like a gasoline can in his hand. And he walked over to my baby girl and he started pouring it all over her. Just jumped out of the bed and I started hitting him, trying to move his arm, trying to swing on him, stop him from pouring the gasoline. Baby girl was goggling like she was kind of choking. I was screaming like I was out of my mind. Somebody help me, somebody help me. He took me and threw me to the floor. I got off that floor. I jumped on this man's back. I was beating on his head. I was beating on him like I started trying to choke him. And next thing you know, we both was on the floor. We was fighting. I could feel him beating me up, but I was fighting him back, boy. I was holding on. I wrapped my legs around his legs. And even when he tried to push me off or punch me, I was not letting go. And then finally, we was loose. And he was digging in his pocket. And the only thing I could think about was, I need help. I need help. I tried to get to the door, and he blocked the door. And I started throwing punches at him, telling him to get out my house, get out my house, get out my house. He pulls out. It looked like the old box of matches where you got the matchstick, and then you just kind of like go like this to the box. When he pulled that out, started trying to ease over to the stove. And that's when, that was it. This man is trying to kill us. Rushed towards him. I found the scrim somewhere, and I jumped on him. He was steady trying to even get the stove, the lighter on in the stove. This man was planning on killing my daughter, himself, me. Oh my God. It was gasoline oil all over my baby, all over the floor, spilling out from when we were fighting. You cannot understand what went through my mind. This man was tall, and he was very thin, and he was very strong. I'm 5'3". I was 5'3" back then. I ran towards that man. I bit him. I bit him as hard as I could. He was hollering, screaming. I was biting the freak out of him. I was punching him. He was punching me back, and I was screaming for help. Next thing you know, it was people coming through the door. Coming through the door. I must have lost my mind for a second, because they kept telling me to let him go. I would not let him go. Like I wanted to tear his flesh off. The police got there. They locked him up. And I went to court, and I filed for sole custody of my daughter, and he was no longer allowed near me. I ended up getting a restraining order, and I moved, and I never had anything else to do with this man, but the mom. The mom loved my daughter. Once she was in the hospital for a long time. And once she was able to walk again and she started healing, I did allow her to see my daughter, maybe for a short period of time. Once my daughter turned 2 years old, I decided to move out of New Jersey, because I was always on eggshells, always scared that I was going to see him. I was always worried that he was going to try to kill me and my daughter again. I was just too afraid. I was just so scared, you know? I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, because I no longer wanted to live in North New Jersey. It was just too many bad memories for me. It was too much. Even though my family and my sisters, majority of my family live in New Jersey, I could no longer see myself in New Jersey anymore. so I left. And I was able to raise my daughter and never ever have any contact with this man again. I was very lucky. I was very blessed. I wish I would have just known, like, you can't go back in time, because I don't regret having my daughter because I love her. But it was scary. It was scary dealing with going through what I went through with being pregnant, and then with him trying to murder the both of us. It was just too much. Thank you guys for watching my channel.